welcome back to Facts and Fictions, the Cozy Book Club podcast where we talk about the books we're reading and the thoughts we're having. My name's Morgan.
My name is Desiree, and this week we're going to do a chatty episode about a couple articles we came across about reading and kind of the state of it.
Yeah, and things aren't looking great, unfortunately.
Yeah, not great.
Hope that changes. We want that to turn around.
I think what kind of kicked the interest in this episode off is there have been actually a couple viral articles about how the average person in America is not reading anything, any books at all.
At all. It's like more than half of the people in the country don't read a single book a year, which is nuts.
Very crazy.
Yeah. I feel like for me, reading is like such a good escape, and it's something that makes my life better. It just makes me sad that people aren't experiencing it that same way.
Mm-hmm. I see how it happens, though. I really do, because everyone's just so addicted to their phones. After I finished my time in college, I think I went 2 years without reading a book, which is crazy because I've always been a really huge reader. I feel like once you stop reading, and you get into you get out of the habit of reading in your day-to-day life, time passes so quickly. So it makes sense that the numbers are not good on reading, but very jarring to see that, over half are reading no books.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. And then it also is affecting kids. Do you want to talk about the first article that you pulled?
Yeah, that was an article from the New York Times, and it's called "Kids Rarely Read Whole Books Anymore, Even in English Class." And it was basically just talking about the books, like decade by decade, that we used to read back in high school. And I know I read most of the ones on the list. And now kids aren't reading like the entirety of books. I think the article said 1 to 2 full books a year, and then just excerpts, which I thought was a little bit crazy. And I was reflecting back on like reading and how it was like intertangled in my life growing up. And like before we even jump into the meat of the article, I thought we could kind of talk about that because like both Desiree and I, like we know we were both big readers, but like even beyond school, I was doing a ton of reading. You were doing a ton of reading. Like what did that look like in your life?
My time outside of school was reading. That was what I did every night. I had a flashlight under my blanket when I was supposed to be sleeping.
Flashlight with my Nancy Drew books, and I'm like terrified because as a kid I thought those were so scary, and I was also terrified that my parents were going to catch me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there's so many short chapter books that come to mind, different series. And I feel like they were also something that a lot of other kids were doing. I wasn't the only one who was reading at home.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It was very prevalent with my peers. And yeah.
That was in my elementary school on our playground. We had, it's still there, I think, at Franklin Elementary School, a boat, like playground piece of equipment, and you could go underneath it. And at recess, there were a few of us girls. We would take our library books down there and read. And like, I hold those memories like so dearly. I don't talk to any of them anymore, but I'm like, that was like a highlight of like my childhood.
Aww.
It's like, I need to reach out to them.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're still big readers.
I know some of them are, because like I follow them on Instagram. I just, after high school, lost touch. Yeah. Did you do the like public library reading incentives?
I didn't.
Those were kind of fun too. It was like you would check out books, and if you like, for everyone you read, you would get a stamp. And there were different, like if you read 10 books, you got this prize. If you read 20, I don't remember what the prizes were, but I do know it was something I was highly competitive about.
I was at the library all the time. At the old one.
The old one.
Yeah.
Yes. That's where I learned how to crochet.
Aww.
Some old ladies let me join their crochet club the summer before 3rd grade.
That's cute.
Yeah, but it was on Tuesdays during the day, so I had to quit when school started.
I also did, I was in a few different schools, so I don't know, I can't remember which one this was at, but did you do the program where you took a test on books you read? Like you logged on?
That.
Okay. Because that's another reason I think I was so big into reading, because I was a little bit of a nerd, but when you read a book, you get points for it for some program or something, if you take a test and you pass on the book. So like you logged into this little portal, and then you took the test on the book, and then you like get a gold star for.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I took part in that, but that sounds so fun. We didn't get a computer until like very late in my childhood.
Well, the test taking happened at school.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think Franklin did that.
Yeah.
They should have. I would have eaten that up.
I think I did it when I was in Davenport schools.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
So Iowa School District.
Yeah.
Going back to like the time spent at the library, I wonder if we were ever there at the same time.
Probably.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
My mom took us there all the time and then basically was like, keep yourself busy. I'm going to be in this section reading a book.
Yeah. And were you, because I was one, like, I always I did the max number of books I could take. I can't remember what the max was, but every time I'm like, I took the max.
Same. One summer, I don't remember when, I had a binder and I would try to draw the book cover of every book that I got.
Oh, artiste.
I know. I wish I still had that binder. I was like, maybe my dad has it somewhere. I don't know.
That'd be so cute to look at.
I would love to find it. I remember it was a teal binder. I had stickers all over the front of it. But I have not seen that binder in probably 20 years.
We should, I don't go to the library as much as I wish I did.
Yeah.
And I used to go there a ton, the new one, because I loved the little cafe that they have in there.
The cafe.
I was there all the time. But now that I work full time, it's,
Yeah. Life.
Yeah. But we should do, we should make that a spot we go for coffee or something.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
And like jumping back into the article, a lot of it has to do with the books we were reading in school. Did you enjoy the books that you were assigned, or were you more so like, I want to choose what I'm reading?
I think I was, in general, I wanted to choose what I was reading. So I feel like just the fact that I was told I had to read it.
And like with the deadline.
Yeah.
That was how I was too.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the structured conversation in English class. It's like, these aren't the questions I want to be talking about. But
and I also hated popcorn reading the book together.
Oh, I know. Like dreading waiting for it to be my turn.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that at all.
And then it's like impossible to absorb what's happening. So you're just like waiting for your section and like rehearsing in your head.
Exactly. I wonder what the research is on that, because obviously, I think it's done to try to pull people's attention, but what does the research say? Because is it actually beneficial?
Yes, and we can loop Garrett in for that one. My husband's an instructional designer, and he's like got his master's in like educational policy and all that stuff. But
we phone a professional.
I know. Phone a friend. It's a big thing that educators strive for is student engagement, and it's very hard to get them to organically engage. So you need to manufacture engagement, and popcorn reading is one way to do that. And my husband's working with people at the collegiate level, so he's told me like it's not really a recommended practice in college, but it is definitely like elementary, middle, and high school.
Wow.
Yeah, we've had these discussions because I've talked to him about how I've been traumatized by popcorn reading. And he's like, well, actually, it's a best practice. Like, well, I hate it.
He's a great guy to have when we're talking about this kind of thing. Wow.
Truly.
Wow.
And we won't go over all of them, but that New York Times article had by decade like the most assigned reading. Something that surprised me was like how consistent it was. Like it started from 1963, there's 1989, 2009, and then 2024. There's a lot of overlap even from 1963 to 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any, like, I know overall the assigned reading's not the vibe, but that stood out as your favorites that you read in high school?
I recall really enjoying The Great Gatsby and To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes, did you read Huckleberry Finn?
I did.
That's one I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
One that's not on this list that actually I hated because it traumatized me and gave me nightmares was The Odyssey.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you read that.
I did read The Odyssey, and I can't remember how I felt about it.
At one point in The Odyssey, there's a Cyclops, and they this is going to get graphic. They stab the Cyclops through the eye with like a flaming stake. Mm-hmm. And I have had nightmares about my eye being stabbed with a flaming stake since I was in high school because of that book. Like, it probably hasn't happened in like 3 years, but it was recurring.
Does The Odyssey have a film?
Probably.
Because I want to say that we read that and then we watched the film on it.
Did you do in high school, like for the reading, many of like the video projects?
Not ringing a bell.
Oh, we still have ours on YouTube. I was pretty proud of them. We did one for, oh my gosh. Why can't I remember? Pride and Prejudice.
Oh.
But we took the plot of Pride and Prejudice and applied it to the Office format.
Whoa, it's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
Oh, you're asking for it
I
to be
know.
linked on this episode
Oh
for
my
people to
gosh.
look at. I will be watching that somehow.
Jared, you read Pride and Prejudice?
Yeah.
He was Mary, and Mary's like the awkward, I guess, kind of character. So we had him in a dress and I think a wig. No, he just had the floppy hair. So we just feminized it. And he was probably the best. He was the highlight of that. But we did a few different, I think we also did a video for the Odyssey and maybe Dante's Inferno.
Oh,
I was big on
I
the
don't
video
remember
projects.
doing any video. Here's the thing about me. I don't remember anything from school. Like, it's very minimal what I recall.
Yeah. And this was with Miss Hafner. Mrs. Hafner, and we had
Miss Hafner.
We had the option. Like there were 5 different types of projects you could choose. You could do like the book report, you could do the video, you could do.
I always choose the book report.
Yeah.
Every time book report.
So yeah, we always chose the video, but I had like all of my best friends in that class with me. So that just like was kind of a fun
popular
way to,
girl.
No, but so happened to have like all my friends were also the nerds in like the AP English classes. So that was just a little lucky where it was like that's kind of the fun thing to do.
Oh, wow. Fun times.
Fun times.
Yeah, but the lack of change in books that are assigned is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Fahrenheit 451 made the cut in 2024.
I haven't read that.
You haven't?
No.
I think I might have a copy of it.
Yeah, I have not read that. But as soon as I put that, I was like, I need to read that when I was making this document.
Right. I think I haven't read The Crucible.
I read The Crucible. I think Fahrenheit. And I don't think I finished typing the title for this night one, did I?
The what one?
Night something.
Oh.
I copied it over.
Okay.
But the Fahrenheit and then Night something were the 2 that I hadn't read. Did you read Of Mice and Men?
I did.
That one's so upsetting.
It is very upsetting.
That's another one I was like mildly traumatized by.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like very interesting.
And something else in the article, it goes on to like how like the whole banned book epidemic is another reason why students can't read the full books anymore. It's like it's illegal now, but there are approved excerpts. And there's like a lot of people like in defense of that and like in defense like, oh, the excerpt is just as enriching as the entire book, which I strongly disagree with. There were excerpts on there like explaining why it's like still beneficial, but my gut check is just like, no, I don't like it.
I agree with you. I do not. I just, no.
Yeah. And like, part of me gets the idea of like, some books I don't think are appropriate for like 14, 15-year-olds, but like once we get to like senior year, I don't think we need to be like censoring what they're reading. I guess I'm projecting my own experiences. As a senior, I felt like emotionally equipped to handle everything we read. I mean, I did say I got some nightmares, but I still get nightmares to this day about like things I see and I read. So yeah, I don't vibe with the banned books.
Illinois is not affected because I think Illinois is one of the states that has a anti-banned book law. But I would be interested to just kind of see like how it trickles down in states that don't protect.
And I had like a little note in our document because I don't quite know how I want to word this, but I feel like there's like a big cultural loss when like growing up, we all read the same books. We all have those shared experiences, like the shared references that everyone basically who went to public school gets. And I know it's not like a big, like that's just like one tiny little thread of society, but losing that one tiny thread kind of makes me sad that like that shared experience is like starting to not exist anymore.
I think you're really onto something there. And I feel like it's actually understated the importance of having that basis of connection between large groups of people. And
yeah, it makes me sad to think it might go away. And like when I have kids one day, it's like, what's that going to look like for them growing up? So I think it's nice having like this shared, like just like even little experiences like that and like shared understanding and like the small references you can make where it's like, oh, like we read that same thing. Like we're on the same page.
As you're saying all this, I'm like, kids relate to each other right now about TikTok.
Yeah, through TikToks, which I also love meme culture. I wish they could coexist beautifully because I do think, yeah, the shared memes are also kind of funny.
If TikTok just took up a little less real estate in the brains of the kids, I think that'd probably be
for the best. Yeah.
And just social media in general. This isn't in our outline at all, but I'll just make a quick note of it, and because it's very interesting to me. But there's a really big case going on right now with Meta, and there's a young girl. Well, I think she's in her early 20s right now, but is suing Meta and YouTube, and I think she also sued a couple others platforms, but they ended up settling. But it's basically the case will essentially decide whether social media, the negative effects of social media on kids and their mental health, whether the platforms are responsible for that or not. So I think when we're talking about the decline in reading, there is a through line of it is because of the rise of social media. Literacy is going down, social media use is going up. And, there are positives of social media and opportunities that come with it, but it is directly affecting literacy crisis and mental health of young people.
Very much a double-edged sword. And I remember these conversations were happening even when we were teenagers. And at that time, I'm like, let us live. Like, we deserve to be on social media, because there were childhood advocates who were like, no, this is damaging. Like, nothing's changed. It's only gotten worse. And now as an adult, I'm like, no, they don't need to be on social media. I have a pretty hard stance on it. Just even young people I know, and just the devastating impact social media has had on their lives and their well-being, their mental health. It scares me. And the digital age, I think, is just getting more and more dangerous as kids get more and more enmeshed into it. I feel very lucky we grew up when we did, where it was just the cusp of things. And I reached adulthood before things got too scary, I think. But then I think I'm the time I spent on Omegle, that was kind of scary.
Yeah.
So maybe.
So long. Yeah. We really did come up in the most unique time. And I also feel really grateful, because I feel like everything we experienced, it was for blips of time.
Yeah.
Because things were progressing so quickly. There really wasn't, it was phases of things, But now I feel like the social media conglomerates, they really have a hold on.
They've gotten good at grasping that attention.
And yet Mark Zuckerberg testified this past week that social media, Meta specifically, is not addictive, and that if somebody wants to quit, they just quit.
Yeah,
I think that is insane.
It's very out of touch.
It's not just out of touch. It's a blatant lie, and it does not acknowledge the fact that the amount of time and money and effort that they have spent to grab the attention of the young people for their monetary gain
and create an addicting algorithm.
Exactly.
It's rewired the brains of people.
Yeah. Sorry to go down that route. I know we weren't going there, but it's just so intertwined.
Yeah, and it all ties back in with the literacy, though, because when I was a kid, if I was bored, it's play outside or read a book. Oh, it's raining, I'm going to read a book. Now it's go online, choose your screen. Which screen do you want to look at today? And it's just different.
Yeah, for sure.
Different. It's not just the kids, though, that aren't reading. I know we kind of started with that, but the adults aren't reading either. And I feel as much as reading benefited me in my childhood, it's even more so in adulthood. And I would feel there would be such an empty spot in my life without books. The next article was by the New Yorker, and it was just titled, "What's Happening to Reading?" just like same, I want to know too, because I just love having like a community of people to talk about books about. And it's like a split for me with my friends. Half of my friends love to read, half of them are like, yeah, I read a few books a year. And
Yeah.
if that.
Same here. And I feel like I do feel like being a reader is in the minority within people that I interact with on a daily basis. And like I had mentioned earlier, I had an extended period of time in my adulthood where I wasn't reading. So, have you ever had an extended?
I think it's like in the summertime, I would say like from June to September, maybe like get through one book, if that. I'm a nighttime reader, and I feel like when the days are longer and I'm like spending more time outside, I just don't have the energy, or like I don't prioritize it the same way. But I haven't had like a long, like year-long gap, I don't think. But summer-long gaps.
Yeah.
And then I always regret it when it comes to the fall and I get back in the swing of things. I'm like, oh man, I was missing out.
Yeah. It's so funny how different our reading habits are.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much not a night. I'm a late afternoon reader, but when it gets to night, when I even get a little bit tired, I really can't read.
My
unless I'm
favorite
really, really
time
into it.
is like after I shower, I'm in my pajamas, the heated mattress pad is on, and I am.
See, I love to wake up, get a coffee, get my coffee ready, and I love to read the very first thing that I do when I wake up.
I wish I were that way. I am not.
But I wish that I was a nighttime reader because I really have more time at night to read.
That does make sense. I used to be a morning reader back when I was working my old job. I would get up. I used to be a morning person, a morning reader. I would get up before work and read. And that was like such a good habit. And sometimes I'm like, I need to get back into that. But I had like a nice cutoff time too, where now I feel like if I started to read in the morning, my day is like not going to be productive.
Okay. Because you get too into it?
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know when to stop. So like when I'm reading at night, it's like I stop when I need to go to sleep. But if it's during the day, I'll not waste. It's not a waste. But if I have important pressing things to do, I can't be prioritizing reading.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So there's a quote that Morgan pulled from this article, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but in 2023, the National Endowment for the Arts reported that over the preceding decade, the proportion of adults who read at least one book a year had fallen from 55% to 48%. So less than half of adults are reading a book a year.
And that's just like wild to me. And I get it because it's like adulthood is like so busy, so stressful. There's so much to think about. And I can see how for a lot of people reading would feel frivolous or like just another thing to add to their to-do list. My stance there is like everyone just needs to find a genre that like resonates with them. And that was something I was thinking about when I was reading this article is I think there's a lot of snobbery like in the book world, in the reading world, like Bookstagram, TikTok, where if you're not reading this highbrow, like very thoughtful type of book, like there's a lot of judgment, like a lot of snobbery, and I don't like that. Like there's a lot of people, I'm not a smut reader, but if somebody's reading smut, like they're still reading. And there's like a lot of people who are very like snobby about that. I don't know. I just think people just need to be happy that people are reading instead of being like, oh, you're not reading to my standards, so it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But I think it's an intimidating hobby to immerse yourself in if you want to find community.
For sure. And all stemming to judgment. People are nervous of judgment from others. I think it gets funny when at work, when you're trying to find commonalities between people you're working with in person. And some people might say they're not reading, but they are because they don't really want to tell you what they're reading.
Yeah, exactly. Like leave me in my fairy porn alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's an interesting thing. But I think what you were talking about earlier, like we have a limited amount of time. Being an adult is crazy right now. Obviously, there's so many things going on. Everybody has bills to pay. Everyone's exhausted by the end of the day. It's so much easier to scroll your phone and get overwhelmed with the things you're consuming there. But I will say, I think, and I don't want to disregard the other factors that are preventing people from reading, because people are overwhelmed. But I will say, I think everyone who is not reading and feels like it's very overwhelming, just find a book and just read it. Reading is so calming to me.
I know.
I get so overwhelmed, throughout the day, from work, from everything I'm reading online, the state of the world, and being able to escape into a book. While it can be hard to hype myself up to spend the time reading to kind of dive into it, I always leave that session of reading feeling better.
And I feel like a good author makes their story so immersive that it takes you out of the real world, at least for a little bit. And you just need to find the genre or the author. I feel like a lot of people who are intimidated by reading, if they just found something really lighthearted, an easy read, like an Emily Henry or an Abby Jimenez, that's a good segue. Just something lighthearted, fairly easy. I know Abby's books have heavy stuff woven in, but still.
Yeah, and starting off with books that are a little less intimidating to get into also leaves you the ability to start kind of fine-tuning what you like about books.
Yeah.
So then your next one, I liked, that trope or that setting or that topic. And you can fine-tune your picks going forward. And truly get to a point where you are reading books that are so enjoyable to you.
You just need to get your foot in the door. And the first pick might not be that one that really grasps you, but it can lead you to the one that will. So you will find out what you don't like, even if it's not that books are not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
So in the article, it was talking about a lot of people are seeing this loss of literacy. There's a long quote here. It's the end of the Gutenberg parentheses, which was the time where the press, the printing press was invented, and everyone was reading because reading became so accessible. Before that, it was very much a rich person thing, but now text is widely distributed. And so people are thinking it's just a natural societal closure, which I kind of want to reject. I don't think that needs to happen. But now they're saying we're back to an oratory timeline where people are consuming in a way listening, podcasts, which I think it's a great addition. It's a great supplement. But I'm not ready for us just to accept reading is something that's going away.
Oh gosh. Yeah. And I do feel like the rise of the audiobook is happening right now.
Yeah.
Because people are really busy, and that is it a more accessible way to take in books. And we've talked about this before. And the difference between audiobook, the experience of physically reading a book and an audiobook. In audiobook, you're still and taking the information and whatever, but there's something about reading a physical book.
Yeah. I am an audiobook enthusiast, just as I am a physical book enthusiast, and they do different things for me.
Yes.
I can be stressed cleaning my house and listening to an audiobook, and I'm not going to leave feeling as refreshed as I would if I sat down and relaxed and opened a book and gave that my full focus and attention. I think audiobooks are wonderful supplements to my life, and I am so grateful for their existence. And I'm grateful for anyone. If that's the only way you consume books, that's better than not consuming them at all. But I do think people would benefit from slowing down and sitting down and taking the time, just gifting themselves that time to unwind and focus solely on reading. Because I know when I'm listening to audiobooks, I'm not just sitting there. Sometimes I wish I would, but I'm always multitasking.
I am too. Yeah. And I think one of the reasons why we do it when we're multitasking is because if we had the time to sit down and read, we would. So in those times where we're listening to an audiobook, it's because we need to get something done.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we both prefer to take the time and sit down. And it's not just, I just feel like I really want to point out that it's not just so that we can say that we're reading. Reading truly is a calming thing.
I leave reading a physical book feeling very grounded and relaxed, and I have positive feelings with audiobooks. That's why I'm listening to them all the time. It's just different.
I feel like if more people realize that maybe there would be an uptick in reading because everyone is so stressed out.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think a lot of people, I view like sitting down to read as self-care. It's something I have to prioritize. And if I'm not taking good care of myself, that's oftentimes when I'll have like a small lapse in reading. And it could be kind of an indicator to me, like, okay, you need to slow down and like gift yourself this time to unwind and relax. You don't have to be on all the time. And when I'm in like that mindset of like having to go, 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 that's when I'm really listening to audiobooks a lot. So yeah,
Definitely.
I think people, if we framed it as self-care, maybe they'd be more inclined.
Now, should we discuss the AI of it all when it comes to reading?
Yes.
Because I think that was also addressed in
Yeah.
in this. What's your in AI in general? What are your
I've got very mixed feelings on AI. I think it's an excellent tool. I also think it's like a demise of critical thinking or a cause of a demise. I have seen so many, again, like young people let AI think for them and make decisions that are just like opinion based. Like, what do you want to do? And like, oh, let me ask ChatGPT. AI scares me for like today's kids. Like, I think our generation's fine, but I'm afraid of AI, basically, is what I need to say. I think it's a wonderful tool if it's not being abused. I just think too many people are going to abuse it and like lose the ability to think for themselves. For reading, there was a quote that I agree with where it's like it can help simplify things. And they did the example of the opening of Bleak House. And it said, if you could ask it to be rewritten for easier, more modern English. So the opening says, gas looming through the fog in divers place in the streets, much as the sun may from the spongy fields be seen to loom by a husbandman and plowboy. Like that's a little bit tricky. So if they, the author of the article put it into AI and it reworded it as gas lamps glow dimly through the fog at the various spots through the streets, much like how the sun might appear to farmers working in the misty fields. And I feel like it makes Old English and like more difficult text, like it feels accessible. And I can see how it's a good tool. I can also see how somebody would just like to ask AI, hey, summarize this book for me. And then say, yeah, I've read that book. This is my favorite part. When they never read it at all, they've read a 300-word summary spat out by ChatGPT.
and didn't experience the reading. Yeah. I'm very much in line with how you feel about it. I think it's a great tool. I've dabbled with it both in personal life and professional life. I think that technically it has a lot of potential. I think that it's vastly overstated, the accuracy and and abilities that it has, and also the amount of time saved. I think that there's a lot of instances where the time spent consulting and explaining to Chat GPT or AI or whichever AI tool you're using, it's a net.
Yeah.
So I also think that a lot of people want to get things done and do as less as possible, and that's a great opportunity for them to do that. Whether that's the best route to take, I don't know. But I'm with you on when it comes to the big picture. AI is very scary, and I do think that it is. People have already started using it as a crutch, and we are kind of past that point. I don't think the masses are truly affected by it yet, but I think we are in the trickle down of that.
Yeah, I think people just like as a whole are going to become less interesting because of ChatGPT, and that makes me sad. And like thinking about it through like a literary and standpoint and looking back at something we've already talked about. In high school, if I had access to ChatGPT, I definitely would have been using that because I sometimes would have to rely on Spark Notes if I wasn't meeting my deadlines.
I was going to bring up Spark Notes.
Yeah, so I feel like Spark Notes was my crutch back then, but you still had to do like you read all the summaries. It was like slightly quicker than reading the book, but there was still a lot more to it. I feel like if I had ChatGPT, I would not have read the assigned reading.
And the thing about SparkNote, that's so funny because that was on my mind, something to bring up. But the thing about SparkNotes is SparkNotes were like vetted by someone. Someone took the time and put that together. It was, and so I feel like SparkNotes, there was that intrinsic ability to trust that information.
Yeah.
I have, out of curiosity, queried AI tools on books that we've read. The amount of times that it is completely off base on the books is crazy. You ask it, something, like if I'm trying to do a fan cast, I've done it before where I'm like, oh my God, last night you texted me, do you remember what this character, if there was a physical description of them? And I remembered, but I had in the past queried and asked it if there was. They didn't, completely incorrect characters. And I'm like, this is wrong.
Just lying to you.
Yeah. This person's not in this book. And it'll say, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry for the mistake.
Yeah.
So there's, at least SparkNotes was confirmed factual information.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And AI speaks as if it's fact. And there are so many times where it is incorrect and you don't know unless you know.
Exactly.
So I've seen instances where, I think I read an article last week about someone in the corporate space who's in data. They were leveraging an AI tool for their leadership, and at some point, someone asked them to look into something based off of this data that they had been provided using this AI tool. And so they dug into it. They realized that the data that they had been feeding leadership and leadership was making business decisions with was incorrect. And it had been months, and they just realized that they were being fed inaccurate business data. I mean, that has to be, when are people, I'm getting on a tangent, but I mean, AI is scary. You have to be careful, and it is already having a huge effect on the literary crisis.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to our discussion today, and young people having access to it. It's a new age SparkNotes, but in the worst way.
Yeah. It's actually, I'm going to say something and hopefully I don't start to cry, but my grandma, she hated AI. Absolutely hated it. She didn't really understand it, just what the news told her. But when she went on hospice and she was like really justifying that decision to me and all of the reasons, that was one of them. And she was like, and AI, I don't want to be around.
Oh,
Grandma, ignore it. Like, you have to use it. She had other good reasons. She needed to go on hospice. It's fine. that was one of her. In her hospital bed, she's like telling me like, and the AI, I don't like it.
Oh,
and
well, you know what? She's a smart woman.
She was. And she was like, the cars, they're going to turn on us. That was something she thought, which, yeah.
She's onto something.
She's onto something.
It's bad. It's really bad.
But yeah, she is one reason I keep my skepticism of AI, because I know she's like looking down like, hell yeah, like be skeptical.
Yeah. On our outline, it's actually interesting because we were talking about this earlier. But I really like this quote that you had pulled from this article called "Reading Books is Not Just a Pleasure, It Helps Our Mind to Heal." And the quote is, "The theory of bibliotherapy is that people engage with literature not just to escape the familiar world and travel somewhere else, nor only for academic purposes, but to ease the pain of existence, of being human." Mm-hmm. That is exactly what I mean when we were talking about earlier about reading to feel grounded, to feel calm. I do feel good that I feel like people care that that literacy rates are declining. We just have to take the step to push it. And
I loved this article. I'd never heard of bibliotherapy before. And now that's like tucked in my back pocket. Every time I read.
Has anyone coined that?
I don't know. Like, I
Is
guess
there,
he
like-
has.
That's true.
But that's now whenever I pick up a book, I'm going to pick up Bibliotherapy.
I'll be using that on a daily basis.
I have constantly, like throughout the entirety of my life, used books as a form of escapism.
Mm-hmm.
Even as like a very, very, very little girl, I had a book called When Sophie Gets Angry. And when I was like 5 and pissed off, I'm like, I am going to go read When Sophie Gets Angry because I need to relate to someone right now. Like it has always been an outlet. And I wish more people had that experience.
Yeah.
I need to get a copy of When Sophie Gets Angry.
Yeah. And that's something that the kids are missing. They're not realizing. Because they're reading the excerpts of the banned books, they're not realizing what they can gain mentally from and taking an entire body of work.
Exactly. That makes me sad.
Yeah.
You have any like go-to escapism books like throughout any point of your life?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I kind of wish I did. I'm not a huge book rereader. The only book that I've read a few times now is a Joan Didion, The Year of Magical Thinking.
Okay.
Have you read that before? I have. I'll let you borrow my copy. That's a really powerful book that I've read a couple times. It's grief. It's death of her husband, but like navigating the aftermath of the death of her husband. But that's the only one that I really like kind of reread. Other than that, I don't reread books. How about you?
I did a lot more rereading as a kid, and I'm guessing that was just like limited access.
Yes.
Like I couldn't just like drive to the library. So the Narnia books were one that I read, I want to say like a dozen times over throughout my childhood. The Harry Potter, not a dozen times, but maybe like 7 or 8. And I used to read those every fall with one of my friends, and then we'd watch the movies. So that was like maybe 4 or 5 times year after year.
The Harry Potter books I did read 3 or 4 times through.
I know there had to have been more. I don't even really remember the premise, but The Shadow Thieves was one I really liked in middle school. And I know I read that a few times, but I had my comfort books. Narnia was like, definitely stands out as a comfort book for me. And I think I liked that they had like their escapism. Like,
yeah.
It was fun to like, I really liked fantasy type of books when I was
loved Narnia.
As an adult, the one I've reread so many times is The 5 People You Meet in Heaven.
Oh.
Which is like, that's one, like if I have like pent up emotion and I need to cry, it's like, and it's such a little book.
Is that churchy?
It's not.
Okay.
So like the whole premise is like an older man, this happens right away, it's not a spoiler, he dies and he goes through like the process of like meeting the people that either he impacted the most or they impacted the most in his life. So it's not like religious based at all, but it's just like what happens after death. It's like one take on it. And it's a take that I really like. And he gets to see the impact he had on people's lives and understand the impact that they had on his, even if he didn't realize it in life. And yeah,
I'm intrigued. I might have to pick that up.
I will bring it to you. I actually have a few copies. If I see it at Goodwill, usually I'm like, okay, that's mine.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably out of everything my most reread book because it's so little you can read it in a night.
Yeah. So. Nice. Well, look at that. We each have a book to give each other to read.
A little swap.
Yeah.
When I am looking for like those books that serve as an escape, I was curious for you. I like to read books that are relatable to what I'm experiencing. And that's something I just recently figured out. I used to think I wanted to read something that'd help me forget, but I'd rather now read something where like the character's going through something similar. So it's like processing alongside. Do you have a preference? Like,
I tend to lean towards reading books I can relate to on things I'm going through. And like last year, I think like 60% of the books I read were political related.
Oh yeah.
So if that says anything about where my mind was last year and still is, but yeah, I do tend to, I'm looking for answers. I think usually
that's how
there are times I want for a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I tend to look for those.
And I feel like you got to see this happen for me in real time where I'm like, wait, actually I do. Because for me, it's like been a lot of reading about grief and different like ways people are dealing with that. And At first, like when my grief journey began, I was like, I wanted to avoid that. So it was like January last year. It's been like a domino effect, but that's like when it started. And I was like, I can't read anything sad. I can't read anything heavy. And then just accidentally, because we didn't know the premise of the book at all, Remarkably Bright Creatures. I was like, that was a book heavy on grief, right at the same time that I was going through it. And the way like it made me feel, I was like, oh, I need to be reading about what I'm going through and not just like avoiding it. It helped me process through those emotions in like a way like I am out of all the things, like looking back at last year, I'm so grateful for that book. That was like one of the, and like even if you've read that book, the name of the kid who dies was Eric, and that was the name of my cousin who died too. And it was like, it just felt like the right book at the right time, just on accident. I feel like I need to like write an email to the author.
You should. I think she would love that.
I feel like I'm going to now that I'm saying this.
I really, really, really regret because it was before we had read the book. But it was the reason the book was on my radar because she had come and spoke locally.
Oh yeah.
At the library, and I had made a note of it that we should go, and we didn't end up going. But yeah, I think she'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Well, when I go home, maybe put that on my to-do list for today. Have you ever had an experience like that, like the right book at the right time where you weren't anticipating it?
I feel like I've had so many.
Yeah.
One specific one isn't coming to mind, but I really do feel like, and part of it is that I do tend to seek out books to get answers, but that reading has always been like a therapy for me. So I feel like that's something that has happened to me many times and a reason why I still am a big reader.
Yeah. I feel sometimes it's just like so serendipitous.
Yeah.
Where you find the answers you didn't even know you were looking for just through reading. And even like reading a fiction, it's like it can help your brain process through it. Just like seeing somebody else like in a fictional world process through what you're going through too.
Yeah. And I feel like actually over the past couple years, I used to be a huge lover of the popular like Girl Boss and those type of books. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not into those anymore. I honestly feel my experience, and I'm not trying to be a hater, and I'm not trying to generalize. Not everyone who writes books of that nature are grifters. I will just say there's a good amount of people who see people, you know, a group of people or a group of customers who they can, you know, they know what the customers need to hear.
Yeah.
And it may not be really even beneficial. It's just they're saying what the people want to hear to get money.
Yeah, they're repackaging like all of the same catchphrases in their own branding and just like manufacturing. I know what you were saying. I'm having trouble putting words to it as well.
They're preying on people's want to succeed, and in the end, I just think there's a lot of times where it comes out that these people are just sucking the blood out of the people who are willing to give them money. And I just think it's really hasn't been said enough how much you can get out of fiction books.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, you can get the same lesson from a fiction book that you can a nonfiction book, and it can be a much more pleasurable reading experience.
Yeah, I feel like when I look back at all the books I've read, I've gotten so much more from fiction than I went through like a big self-help book phase when I was maybe like between 23 and 25. And looking back at that, I'm like, I didn't take action. I didn't like really, I just felt good that I was reading them, if that makes sense. And then didn't do anything with that.
Yeah. And I think that when you say 23, 25, I'm like, that's exactly the age that
Yeah.
I think people do go through the phase, and going through the phase is totally fine. I just think, I think when it comes to men, I feel like men are really about the nonfiction self-help.
And yeah, that kind of circles back to the book snobbery I was talking about,
Yes.
where a lot of men will turn their nose up at like the
It,
silly little fiction books.
exactly.
And they're
It's like
just
if you're not reading
yeah,
How to Make $1 Million
the
or
subtle art of not giving enough.
yeah, actually, I like that book.
Oh.
Oh, that's actually I actually did like that book, but did
I
I
read that
gain
one too.
anything from it? I'm not sure. But yeah, and like, oh my God, this is reminding me of this. I watch Real Housewives, okay? A few of them. And it's a guilty pleasure I have. I'm very much in the like camp of people who really feel like watching Housewives is somewhat of like a sociological experiment,
Mhm.
and I love it. I love watching some of it. But there's a new housewife on this new season of the Housewives of Beverly Hills, and her whole thing is she's the money queen. She had her whole thing, like her website, her business, and whatever, and is about how to manifest money.
Oh.
And so she has all these ebooks, all of these courses that are $2,000 on how to manifest money. Not even just not so it's you you need to speak positively about money and journal about the ways that you will make your life better with the money that you're manifesting. That's how
It's like a little out of touch too.
Yeah.
I am the world's biggest online course hater, and I've got the credentials to back it up.
You do.
You've been around the online course space. I have a long, hallowed past as Morgan from Teachable. You may have seen my emails or my YouTube videos. Online courses are a grift 98% of the time. Don't buy them.
Yeah.
Hard, like, stop. Don't buy them. Unless there's like a tangible start to finish guaranteed like result. Like buy an online course on how to make a quilt or how to like get into pottery, something that gives you something tangible, but get rich doing this. Don't do it. That's what they're all doing, and they're all just repackaging the same content from the course that they bought.
So you wouldn't recommend buying Amanda's $2,000 How to Manifest Money?
No, hard
course?
stop.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I have no nice things to say about those type of courses. I do have nice things to say about like how to knit a sweater, those courses that give you like a start to finish process. But we saw a lot of those come through, and a lot of them made a ton of money, and then they told the people under them, create a course on how to make a ton of money, and then you'll make a ton of money. And so those people make a course on how to make a ton of money and make their money off people buying it from them. It's a pyramid scheme, basically.
The digital pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
So
I could make an entire podcast just on that.
Oh goodness. But anyway, love fiction. I do like a nonfiction as well.
Like memoir, biography,
Yep.
that vibe.
Exactly. Just not really the self-help category any longer. But if you're reading, you're reading.
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't turn your nose up at a fiction.
Yeah. Fiction reading has like healed so many parts of my soul in my life, like starting from childhood.
Yeah. Oh. My Siri.
Tell me more.
Well, we will link the articles that we discussed today. They were all very interesting. And something also, as we're ending, we talked about before we started the episode, but reading short form is important too.
Oh, yeah.
So we were talking about how we have tended to save articles to read later and not always get to them. And reading in short form and research articles is a great way to get into reading. If you're feeling like overwhelmed at starting a proper book. So totally recommend doing that too. And I think we're both trying to be a little bit more intentional about following up and reading those articles that we come across and save for later. And also something that is I think, pretty accessible. Print media is really struggling right now, and it's very cheap to subscribe to like magazines. They're dying for subscribers. So if there's, one that you would be interested in, or maybe there's one magazine that you constantly see articles online from, that might be a good one to subscribe to in print, and then you get it in the mail and you have that physical reminder to sit down and read. And that's also very calming. If you're looking for a couple recommendations, I subscribe to Mother Jones, which is my favorite magazine I read. It's extremely well researched. It's a lot of commentary on politics, but not in like a boring way, and like articles that talk about things that are happening currently that you would want to be informed on. I'm a new subscriber to the New Yorker, really enjoying their stuff. That's a weekly, so that one's a little bit overwhelming to get because it is weekly and it is quite substantial as far as the volume of articles that you're getting. And then just like fun ones like a Vogue or something if you're into fashion or photography.
I miss the 17 magazine era.
Yeah.
Like as a teenage girl. That was like my birthday present every year, was getting that renewed.
Bring back magazines and getting a physical magazine. I know, like, I feel like one great thing about digital is that we're saving paper and stuff, and that's totally, I understand, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, definitely. And just like being responsible with it. And if you no longer want it, you can recycle it, you can donate it. There's actually, like my aunt, she has special needs. She is obsessed with like the texture of magazines. You could donate them to group homes.
Ooh, great idea.
Yeah. If it's a food magazine, my aunt would like just love it. So there are things you can do with them if you're like, okay, I don't want all this abundance of just like stuff like piling up in my house, because I get that. Donate it to your library, donate it to a group home, do arts and crafts with it. That's something I used to like to do as a kid. Just like cut up the magazines and do collages.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, and one other note, getting magazines is fairly cheap, but if you can't spare the money, if you have a library card, a lot of libraries have magazines there, and or they also have magazine subscriptions for free that you can get like through their app. Like Libby is the one that ours uses, and I can read magazines on my Libby app. So you could even do that if you're looking for short form media.
And just read something.
Yeah,
whatever makes you happy. And it will make you happy. If you're skeptical, once you find the right form of media and the right genre, I think it's going to really enrich your life.
We hope you enjoyed. And the next episode, we'll be back to discussing one book.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be back.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Facts and Fictions. If you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to follow along and join us again next time. We're here every week with full book discussions every other Sunday and a variety of episodes in the weeks between. Today's episode was a part of our Brief Encounters series, where we dive into shorter pieces such as articles or short stories. Until next time, happy reading.